And then it may help with migraines. So it's definitely brain centered. It's definitely got a lot going on for the head. Like that's kind of why ginkgo's kind of like our mascot for the night. Okay. And then here's our one adaptogen. This is American ginseng, Panax quinquefolius, the Aureliaceae. Now, I don't have photos of the Chinese ginseng or Korean ginseng, Panax ginseng up here. For identification purposes, so I'm really sure on things. I'm going to stick to this one, but there are some subtle differences, but yes, both ginsengs have these signatures. Okay. So, oh no. Oops. My apologies. This didn't quite get the memo. So I have to do this. The signature, though, that I see here is this, and I forgot to remove these, so I apologize. It's the structure of the herb. It looks like a brain set above a whirl of nerves and spines, and whirls can be, think about a whirl of a plant. It just goes round and around and around. I bet you know people that go round and round and round in their thinking too. And so that I would attribute to a nervous personality. So this looks like, a nice regulated brain above, this nervous whirling. And it is for exhaustive brain from overwork. That's Matthew Wood. And we're going to look at this one again when we get to the nerves. But I just want to say, here's the brain signature part. And yeah, we'll revisit that in a bit. And then we've got the brain here. And we're bringing in pine cones. And pine itself. And one view that I didn't put on here, which is lovely, and I think it would work well for spine, is if you've ever stood underneath a pine tree and looked at the structure, how it's very spoke-like underneath there. To me, it looks like a wheel. And that's just how I see it. It's almost a world tree in a way for me, but just how it has a sense of rotation and movement without moving. So this is, oops, I got to watch where I click on my arrows here. This is pine. Particularly, this is white pine that I'm showing here. This is Pinus strobus, but you can use a lot of different species of pine, as long as you're safely identifying them. And it is in the Pinaceae. So the signatures here, oh my goodness. Okay. I have to go through this at least once where I have to adjust to the sensitivity of where that arrow goes. So the cone shape is pineal shaped. I'm just going to say it. It has that almondy look to it right here. And you can even see it right here. This is not a white pine cone. More than likely, this is a red pine cone. The white pine cones actually are longer. So the cone shape, I'm going to say this harkens back to the lotus. And I didn't get into lotus or white water lilies in this class. If you want to learn more about that, I would say if you're a subscriber, certainly check out the Doctrine of Signatures class on the brain, head, and eyes. There's a generous overlap between these two classes. And so I had to just make some decisions. So lotus is in that one. But I will say we do talk about the brain and the crown chakra there. And then the needle structures look like they're nerves coming out from a central point, like ginkgo did. White pine in particular is very good at this because there's 5 needles coming out of a little stack, whereas like the red pines will have 2 and some pines will have 3. And so it looks nerve-like there. I'm crossing the streams a little bit instead of just sticking strictly to the brain on this one. And then the sound is the soughing in the breeze, which sounds like wind. It's wind and air, and it's very soothing. So when we have a sound signature now, and let's see, I don't want to click to the next page. Okay. So, yeah, Matt and Phyllis have wonderful discussions in a few different classes. One of them's the COVID class. Whenever they're talking about white pine, eagle medicine class too. On just recently, they did a free class on bird medicine. Pine came up, eagle came up, then they talk about pineal there too. And you can check out clips of that on Facebook. And yeah, and it's also in our animal medicines class too. And so Phyllis did a lot of work with this during COVID. due to its work with the pineal, which seemed to be impacted in a lot of people because the pineal's in charge of dreaming. And a lot of people either had their dreams turned on or they had it turned way off. So it was definitely working with that system there. And then the spiraling nature makes me think it might be part of the limbic system. So remember back to the spiraling horns on there, and it helps me think about emotional regulation as well. And that's not something that I'm seeing a lot of out there. People are saying, oh yeah, but stress, sure. If you feel like you're just going to like flip your lid, I would try some pine. And yeah, if you're just like completely frazzled, and pine does look frazzled as well. That's not a signature I wrote down, but it definitely looks soft though. But at the same time, it's frazzled, but softened look. White pine has one of the softer looks to it. I would check out pine and those rich volatile oils. That's another thing is smell. Volatile oils can really bring you back into the present moment and ground and anchor you. And Phyllis Light talks about this in her Southern folk medicine class about earth and air being opposites, where, you're either head in the clouds, woo, or you're so grounded and solid. And it brings that air quality that I've heard dubbed as a fart in a windstorm. Just woo, like no anchoring whatsoever. And it brings them back into their volatile oils. Scented things can kind of pull you back into your body. It's getting you back in touch with your 5 earthly senses instead of being all up in here. So scent is a very powerful signature. We just, don't know how to scratch and sniff the screen quite yet. And then bring on the Goticola. I do love this plant. I think it's really cool and super mysterious. And it's a plant. It does flower, but it's super, super rare to see it. And it's just, look at it, how simple it looks. It reminds me of ground ivy in a way, and it acts like ground ivy too. So there might be something to that. In any case, I thought I'd put 2 different images up here so you can see, hey, that does look kind of brain-like. It's got that same ginkgo-y bilobed nature, and so are the brains. And this is Centella asiatica, and apparently family didn't get named, but sorry, folks. This is, I'll fix it in post. This is Apiaceae, the carrot family. It's a weird carrot. It doesn't behave like a carrot, doesn't send up beautiful umbels like a carrot. I still love this plant. I'm not knocking on it. It just is so atypical. It does not have the ferny leaves of a carrot. And so that makes me think, I'm like, oh, was this one of the older carrots, like the prototype for a carrot? It wasn't, but there's just something removed about it, like ginkgo. Ginkgo, actually, they had to find, I believe it was sequestered in Tibet. They thought it was done until somebody went to Tibet and was like, ginkgos. I just kind of wonder what secrets this plant knows. It's a fabulous herb. It's helped me out with eczema, actually. It's really good at tissue regeneration. I'm going to put that out there. We've talked about the bilobe nature and the intelligence of ginkgo. Here's the proof. So it does increase circulation for the brain. It is good for the memory. It's good for nervous breakdown and for loss of memory. So once again, we're calling in themes of Parkinson's here too. This affects the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. So Parkinson's is like an all over nervous system thing. You've got dysregulation in the CNS, and then you see the movement in the PNS. This is from Matthew Wood, and we're going to talk about this again. More signatures about this plant when we get to nerves. And then let's throw in a sedative. Let's talk about passion flower. So this is the herbally used passion flower. This is Passiflora incarnata. This is the one when you talk about passion fruit, this is the one they're talking about, which is Passiflora edulis. I could not get a good picture. It doesn't grow around here. I couldn't get a good picture of what this looks like on the inside, so I had to borrow from the cousin. It's not herbal, but but you can eat this, and you can eat this too. Honestly, it's just not used as much. So, oops, there we go again. Bring on the passion flower. There we go. So you might be noticing why this might be for the brain. just based on the fruit alone. It large and orb-like. And once again, if there's that redundancy with ginkgo, large orb-like fruit, large. I mean, and I'm talking relatively large. And it's got this like this harder outer shell and like a soft, smushy part, just like our brains in the middle. So hard outside, softer inside. And as mentioned, it's a sedative. Matthew would mention that it's for nervous excitements with twitchings. So that makes me think about restless leg, folks. There's another remedy out there for that. And we'll talk about that in a bit. I'm going to reserve that. I have a special little group for that plant. But yeah, twitchings. And then so this is also an epilepsy or convulsion remedy, or at least it was traditionally used that way. These are some great picture people. So you might know someone that's like this and be like, passion flower? Distracted chatterboxes who talk all the time about themselves. It's kind of like they're stuck. They're not just stuck within their own nervous system, but they're stuck within themselves. So they're looping there too. And they have a hard time falling asleep. Passion flower. This is for pains in the head. Like it feels like it's pressing in on the brain, a specific type of headache. All right. And that's also Matthew contributing to that intelligence. All right. So more herbs and signatures. And this is actually probably the signature that people hear about when they hear about, when they first hear about like, what's the signature? It's the walnut that usually makes its appearance. Walnuts are good for the brain because they're shaped like a brain. Well, indeed they are. And this is walnut. This is Juglans nigra, Juglans regia, can also be used, which is the European walnut. There is another Juglans out there. It's butternut. It is related. It's having a hard time right now, so you might not be able to find it. That's more of a gallbladder remedy, but you can see why. So the fruit, it's brain shaped. It's also intestine shaped. And yes, this is also an intestinal herb. And you've got that really thick outer, inner going on the fruit and the hull or the husk, brain and head. Once again, layers within layers. And I'm just going to say the walnut oils are extremely good brain food. So we're even talking from just sheerly a not just an herbal, but a food-based signature. And who was the guy that brought it up? It was William Coles. William Coles back in the 1600s. He's that walnut guy. He's the one that said, yeah, this looketh like a brain, and therefore it's good for the brain. That is not the direct quote, but, it's good enough for me. So onward to more brain signatures. Okay. I'm putting this up there because you might have moments where you're experiencing this. This is nasturtium. And I mean, super good garden herb. Can you eat it? Absolutely. Is it spicy? Oh, yeah. Like the longer you let it go on the vine, it's so spicy. But the leaf is fascinating to me. This looks so much like an optic nerve. And for those that are of an age that are getting their eye map, they're going in for their eye tests, they'll probably show you a diagram that looks like a nasturtium leaf. They're like, oh, the optic health is really good. And I'm bringing this up because the optic nerve is such an important player in the brain as far as getting that sensory information. And it's also a nerve. So I don't know if it's for it, but I think it should be because I believe the signature is so strong. It's also super viney. It creeps along the ground. It's happy. It's really happy. I am partnering it with my watermelons. My watermelons are barely standing a chance. Nasturtium is just like, wee! It's everywhere. It creeps, it crawls, and it covers. And that covering reminds me of a big neural mat. Like, where are the biggest parts of your body? The skin. And then what's right next to the skin? All the nerves that are reaching out, all those peripheral nerves.